Kublai perlop te mentah singi ada ngai host yang ngai kiju kuat Andy. Te mentah singi i don Indonesia IHM, but mentah singi don BIW i perlop mi kendo po Impact Week. Te ngan ai la di iba in penitu ia de bisa. So thank you for joining us today on this beautiful day. And if you could just introduce yourself a bit.
Sure. Hi everyone, my name is Carolin Taenzer. I am the Managing Director of Impact Week. It's a non-profit organization based in Germany, but we do workshops all over the world, basically.
So regarding Impact Week, I mean, after seeing it with my own eyes, after being there, it looks very vibrant and very enjoyable. So does this usually happens in every Impact Week or?
Obviously, it depends a little bit on the culture. Sometimes people are a little more shy. Some cultures are more outgoing by nature. But I think the key is in building a great team. So the team that we bring to the host country, and they are in charge of creating this energy.
So you've been through many countries, I suppose. How's this trip going around with friends and all that? It must be tiring, I guess.
At times, yes, because as I said, we're an NGO, so obviously in an effort to cut costs, we also share rooms. And this Impact Week, we've actually been traveling with 8 of the senior coaches and organizers, and we already shared 2 weeks together at a hotel and then 2 weeks here. So obviously what you miss is your routine, your workouts, your time for yourself, so it can be a little tiring, but it's worth all the effort. Sure.
I mean, we've also talked about with a lot of entrepreneurs. We've seen that they really have that passion for what they do, and seeing you guys in work at the Impact Week was really inspiring and very. It kind of shifted our perspective a bit, because you guys, you came here and you just showed us that we can do better together. We can solve our own problems. But there are times where we lose that momentum, we lose that thing. So the thing is how because you've been with entrepreneurs, how can an entrepreneur keep up with that momentum?
That's a good question. This is why we bring so many people together, and we've really tried to create a community, a local community, where people who were part of Impact Week, maybe some of the local coaches that we trained, can keep in touch and hopefully continue with what they're doing. We try to connect the speakers, the jury members who are already active in the entrepreneurship scene with the students and the junior coaches that we train, and we really hope to leave a network behind where people feel like they can be part of something, and if they have any questions, need inspiration, they can always turn to local people, but also to us.
So basically you're creating networks here.
Yes.
So most of us here, we really like that. Because sometimes even when we need things, we just have that saying, I wish I knew somebody who does this like that. So basically it's all about networks.
That and encouragement, I think, empowerment. So these are the 2 aspects I see most in Impact Week. We empower people to solve their own problems locally. We empower people to speak up, to think outside the box, and to take ownership of their ideas, not to work on somebody else's idea or in somebody else's business, but to really create something themselves. And then we have the connection and the networking aspect as well. Yeah.
So what I've seen is basically on a personal level, that sometimes we lack that self-awareness. So when you first came into Meghalaya, what are the things you saw that we were facing a problem with? Like what kind of problems we were having? Because I hope from your insights, I guess we can work together and find a way to fix that.
Oh, for sure. Well, I mean, obviously, coming into Meghalaya, the first thing you notice is traffic. But I think that's
one of our headaches.
That is, an issue not only here in the region, but in other parts of the country as well. But the small roads and the curvy roads we had, I never gave out that many sickness pills, I think, in my life. And I'm amazed how 2 cars fit on one road. Like in Germany, this would be 1 lane for 1 car, and here somehow 2 buses manage to pass by each other without
We
any
like
scratches.
to stay close. It's in our culture. We like to stay close. That's why.
So yeah, that's definitely something I noticed. We only experienced one very drastic weather change. I've been told this is the wettest place on earth. I think we were quite lucky with the weather, but I can imagine that this can also create some issues.
Yeah, we have a saying actually in our local place where you experience 4 seasons in one day. So if you wake up in the morning, it might be raining. Then in the middle of the day, it will be sunny. So sometimes I guess people coming from outside seeing this person, it's sunny, he's carrying a jacket and a umbrella. I guess that was quite shocking.
Yeah, we do have that in Germany as well, but only in April. We call it April's weather, when it changes from snow to rain to sunshine in just one day.
Oh really?
Yeah.
I never knew that. So at least we share something in common
Exactly.
in that aspect. So coming to that, I've heard you said about traffic. I was there in Impact Week. I've heard that there was a team that came up with a solution to solve that. So what kind of solution did they came up with?
Okay. I hope I can remember it correctly. So apologies if I am not doing you justice in explaining your idea. So they came up with an e-bike solution to travel through the city, and to make buses more redundant, basically to create more space in the streets, because it is quite hilly, so it is exhausting to cycle. Yeah, I thought it was very interesting. We had 6 out of 27 teams working on the track of transportation, so it really is an important issue here.
So I guess I missed out on that because when I was talking with the students that day, I didn't really get to meet anyone who was talking about e-bikes.
Oh, I see.
So what I got was they were making like a special bus or something. So I was very curious about that. Like they were talking about there will be a new facilities, and new kind of features in that bus. So I was really wanted to know more about that.
So yeah, I was speaking about the winning idea of the track transportation, because we had 6, as I mentioned, 6 teams working on transportation, and one of the teams was awarded the best idea of the track transportation. But some of the ideas were around safety for the kids, because a lot of the parents didn't want to send their kids to school on the school bus because they were scared for their safety. Or just wanted to make sure they are more comfortable and therefore driving them in their own vehicles, and that creates congestions. So a lot of the ideas evolved around creating a safer space for the kids, but also a more engaging way, so that they actually want to take the bus. They favor the bus over being brought to school by their parents.
Okay.
Yeah.
But for personally, when I was younger, I didn't really like to take the bus or cab. So what I did, I walk.
You walked?
Yeah, I would walk from. You remember Nehu? So it was from Langkrat to more like so.
Oh wow! How long did that take you?
About 1 hour or 2 maybe.
Wow. Yeah.
So I really like that, but I guess now it's not safe anymore. Now that. So most people they usually. I remember back in our days also they used to do this carpool thing. So they would have one car pick up like a whole kids. In that. So hearing people coming up with different solutions and different ways to solve this thing, it's really inspiring and really hopeful for this thing.
Thank you.
So this Impact Week, can you tell me more about it? Because just from, I guess, there's a lot more to it from what I've seen yesterday also. I really wanted to know like what are the process like you have, because I don't think you operate in the same place like every year.
So you've only been there yesterday, right?
Yeah.
Okay. We actually started last week. We had a train the coach program. So our 8 senior coaches trained 60 local junior coaches in design thinking. So they went through a training program explaining every step of the design thinking process and preparing them for this week, the workshop that you've seen. And this week we invited students from 22 faculties from all over Meghalaya to join us for the design thinking workshop. So we divided the students into teams of 6 to 8 people, and they were coached by the newly trained junior coaches. So they went through the design thinking process under guidance of the coach and created solutions for the most pressing problems here in Meghalaya.
So basically, you're more of a train the trainer.
Exactly. Last week was a train the trainer, or train the coach as we call it, and this week was the Impact Week challenge, where we actually implemented what the coaches learned last week.
So do you guys personally select these trainers, or do you just call them? You gave it to the locals if they want to join, they join, or something like that. No?
The Prime team invited the
Okay.
faculties, so they chose partner universities, and these universities then selected people who want to take design thinking further. So we want to reach people who actually can act as multipliers, who really want to use design thinking and also train other people in the future, just to make sure that we spread, design thinking here, and eventually make ourselves redundant. So we want to leave all the knowledge here, create a network, and then we want to explore other regions or countries.
So basically, you guys are just how do we say? You guys travel around planting these seeds
Exactly.
and hoping one day maybe you'll
And
see
a
something.
beautiful
So
tree.
how's the personal experience from traveling from places to places?
It's
Because
actually
most of us here, we just for us, it's just okay, we're in Shillong,
Mhm.
we study here, we work here, and our lives end here. So I guess hearing something about people traveling, I hope one day maybe I'll also get to travel. So how's that experience?
So for me, coming from Europe, I can say that I'm very, very fortunate that I was able to travel a lot, even growing up, because other countries are easily reachable by car. So my parents didn't have a lot of money, but they always took us on a camping vacation somewhere in France or Spain. So we grow up being used to traveling. But this way, coming here is a different experience. It's not traveling, resting at the beach or just enjoying your free time or going to a few museums. This is actually really getting to know the local culture, because we go out during the workshop and do interviews with locals. We ask them about the problems in the region, but we also, we work very closely with the Prime team and the faculties. So I feel like we are really immersed into the culture a lot more than you could do if you were just traveling.
So how is our culture? How do you find our culture?
In parts, it's very different, for sure. One thing that I always notice is time. The time, I think there is a different perception of time. So in Germany, we are very, very punctual. And here, you always have to plan a little bit of time for everybody to reach. We were told that nothing starts before 10:30, so this was actually the latest Impact Week we ever did.
So we actually have this thing, we used to call it Kasi standard time. So if we were to set anything at 10, if we want anything to happen by 1 or 12, we would set the time at 10.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So I guess one of the main problems is obviously traffic.
Mhm.
We can never get anywhere in time.
Of
If we
course.
wanted to get to reach a place like a certain time, we have to move out 2 hours or 3 hours before, even if it's close by also.
Yeah.
So that's there. Yeah, one of our culture's problem is punctuality. Even I myself, I'm really working on that to be more punctual. I think. But there are still circumstances like today also, which we really couldn't handle because of the electricity and all that, and we had to come out this side, so it took us more time. So I hope the people listening that they they will take this in self-awareness that okay, we need to be more punctual.
Yeah, that's not the only thing. Like, I think the culture here is really, really beautiful. What I noticed is there's a lot of singing here in Meghalaya.
Oh.
I had really nice encounters just yesterday in the bathroom. I don't know, in the ladies' room. There were 3 girls. I don't know what they were listening to, and they were humming to a song, and then we just all broke out into song randomly. I mean, there were students from the workshop, but I haven't really engaged with them before. And it was so nice. Also, traveling through Meghalaya and just jamming with the bus drivers, there's always somebody breaking out into songs. It's really, really nice. And I heard
I guess-
this is the city of rock or something, or the area where people are very musical and a lot of concerts are happening as well.
In Shillong, you usually have a lot of concerts, so we have there's a massive talent here when it comes to music. There are people who are into pop, there are people who are into hip hop, there are people who are into different genres and different things. We all have that talent, even our own instruments. We're planning to actually have a little program where we bring up these cultural instruments, like bring up these people to sing our own culture. So that's there. So I also heard you visited the hills and all that. How was the experience? Also, you trek or was it nearby?
We actually took 2 trips. As I mentioned before, we were traveling with a few senior coaches and organizers. So we went to the Living Bridges, the double-decker route bridge, and 2 caves. We went on hikes, canyoning, kayaking. It was a really, really beautiful experience. And I remember we came to the route bridge at night because we went down the 3,000 steps quite late because of traffic. We reached quite late. And we had a beautiful hike in the sunset. And when we reached, there's the route bridge and the waterfall, and the water was super refreshing. We all jumped in and we watched the stars. And it was a really, really magical moment for all of us. I think that really bonded us as well. And then we had a weekend trip as well with the whole group almost. So everybody's staying here at IHM, our international junior coaches that we brought from the US, from Russia, from Germany, and from other parts of the world. And we wanted to go to a cave and on a hike, but unfortunately the weather had different plans. So I felt like I was in a car wash. There was just rain pouring down from all sides. And we waited a little bit. It was actually fine to go to the cave, and we had a wonderful time as well. And to a waterfall, if I remember correctly. Yeah. So it's beautiful. It's a good time to recharge after, an exhausting 3 days of really intense work. And if you bring people from other cultures in as well, it's not just the content of the workshop. You also take in all the cultural elements. So for us, we have to process a lot of things at the same time. Then you share a room, you don't have the same time to reflect like you would have otherwise when you're at home. So being out there in nature really gave us a moment to breathe and
I guess I also need a little bit of vacation.
Me too.
Yeah. So after experiencing Meghalaya, if I were to ask you, how would you sum it up in 1 or 2 words?
Oh wow.
I feel like I'm throwing questions at you the whole time.
Yeah, no, that's what the interview is for, right? It's hard to condense something into.
Okay, let's do it 1 sentence.
Hospitality. Everybody was so friendly. Everybody always had a smile on their face. I think I made great friends here. I'm really, really hoping that I will be able to come back. So hospitality would be the word for me.
So, do you have any questions regarding about Meghalaya or anything?
Many questions. I feel like I haven't seen enough of it yet. We realized that there are many different cultures who actually don't speak the same language. How does that work?
Well, we have one language, Khasi, and from there they have different dialects, depending on the region, the space, and all that. So there are also other kind of cultures which are similar to us, but they are not part of the Khasi. So they have their own languages also, like Garo, Panar, and Owar. There are some Mikir and all that. So we're diverse in many ways, but still we still have some similarities also.
Yeah, because I remember some of the students struggled to speak to their peers because they didn't speak the same dialect, and they really had a hard time in the beginning to find a common ground. Do they speak in English or maybe use one of the languages that everybody speaks?
Yeah, it's one of the things that we sometimes face hardship even in the locals of the place. Going from one place to another place also, it's like we speak the same language with different dialects. There's always a miscommunication in between.
I see.
So I guess there will be a way where we can work this out. Find it. I hope so.
Yeah. And what I noticed is that people are really, really proud of Meghalaya.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering how to make people stay, because there's the problem of brain drain. You know, people leaving the state and trying their luck somewhere else in a bigger city. Um, but I feel like this place is so special and so different from all the other places I've been to in India, and I'm wondering how many people actually leave, and how can you keep the young
Well, one of the
sharp minds here?
one of the problems is that most people here, as in, they don't have that job opportunity that they're looking for. I mean, there are a lot of work, but there are also some kind of works where they don't get. So let's say somebody who's into photography or videography, he's very passionate about that. But sometimes there's not a lot of work, and obviously they have to feed their family. They have to look after people. So in pursuit of their own passion, they would rather go to a place where there's more opportunity for their passion. So in a sense, it's not like they are not proud of the place. In a sense that they really love their passion, that they want to pursue it in a place where there's more opportunities and let's say more way for them to achieve that. So being in a state where we're still not there competing with the mainland India and all that. So with the major cities, I guess that's one of the reasons that I see. Where sometimes when it comes to education also, there are times where somebody wants to pursue more, it's not available here. There's less professionals and all that. So in pursuit of that, they leave the place. But I hope the hope that I have is that whenever somebody leaves this place in pursuit of their own passion, it's just that they'll bring it back.
Yeah.
They'll bring that whatever they've learned, the development that they've got, bring it back in. No, so that we can also all develop.
That makes sense. I think it's also where entrepreneurship comes into, play. When you say that there's not a lot of job opportunities, and we want to create new ideas on how to move the state further, one step further, and make them job creators and not job seekers in the process. I mean, not everybody is going to be an entrepreneur. Not everybody's made for that or wants that. But we hope that we spark that momentum with them.
I guess we also share a common ground because with this podcast, this thing that we go around and talk to entrepreneurs, we want to, just to ignite that spark in a certain youths where they're like, okay, this person is doing this, okay, I can do this also.
Yeah, there are other options. You just have to be proactive and really find a need and innovate.
The one thing is that we should change the mindset of people. Because not everybody is going to be an entrepreneur, but I guess that entrepreneurial mindset, that thing, because as an entrepreneur, it's not always about, okay, I can do business, I can make money out of this, and it's more about what can I give value, what value can I give.
Exactly.
So even in other profession, if people have that mindset, okay, as a doctor, what kind of value can I bring in? What kind of other things? I guess that's the mindset that as a team, we're trying to implant into the minds of many people. And I hope one day maybe a lot of youths can have that mindset where, okay, what kind of value can me as a person give to the society, in my professions and my way. So really hopeful for that.
Thank you.
And we also really appreciate people like you guys, because you guys came in with this concept of design thinking, something that maybe we will never hear of if there aren't people like you bringing it in. So design thinking, I guess, if I'm not mistaken, it's just a 5-step. It's
6 steps.
6 steps.
Well,
okay.
there are multiple ways of doing design thinking, but we chose a 6-step process.
And these 6 steps are.
So first, you understand the problem. You do your research. It can be desk research. So you really try to see what has already been done. Is there any information I need about the problem? Let's take transportation, for example. How many cars are registered in Meghalaya, for example? Or, how is the road system? How long is the road system? Or how well maintained are the streets, for example? And then in the second step, you go and observe. So you go out in the field and you actually talk to people, to users, potential users. So you talk to people stuck in traffic, you talk to bus drivers, you talk to people maybe taking the bike. What is your reason for taking a bike? And why don't you take the car, for instance? So we really try to understand why are people acting the way they are acting. So one of the concepts is to ask why 5 times. Why are you doing this? and it really brings some very, very interesting insights. Then the next phase is the synthesis. So this is where we bring the theory and the user insights together. And we really try to dissect, okay, what is the user need? What do people actually want? How might we improve the life of this person? And then we go into ideation. So the half of the process, the first 3 steps, are just basically analyzing the problem itself. And then the next three steps are about the solution space. So the ideation is the first step. How can we solve the problem? So the teams come up with innovative ideas. This is really where we have to encourage the students to think outside the box and maybe put some everything that they can think of on paper and really build on ideas of others as well. Because only together we can kind of spark that creativity, and the more diverse the group is, the better. And then we build a prototype. That is step number 5. So we actually want to have something physical, not just an idea, but actually something that we can take and then test in the 6th step. So we ideally go out to the user group again, go to somebody who we interviewed before, or another person who also could be the target group, and ask them, would you use this? Sometimes it's even best to just show them the prototype and ask them to engage with it, not to explain what you've built, but to really have them ask questions, or as I said, if you have something physical.
MVP, minimum viable product. I've read
Exactly,
somewhere where you just throw an imperfect product into the market.
Like
and
rapid prototyping, just 3 hours. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just needs to show what you're trying to achieve, basically. And
so then you get the feedbacks, and then you
exactly. And then it's not a straight process, so it does have the 6 steps, but you can always revert. So if you feel like your ideas are not good enough, you can go back to the synthesis and see, okay, was there something else interesting that we found out? Is there another need that we can maybe focus on? Or let's say if the testing revealed something, you go back to the prototype and you make alterations. Or if you feel like through the feedback you need a big change for your prototype, you can go back to ideation as well. So it's a very agile model. But the steps are very easy, and I think we also use it in our daily lives. We do that with almost every problem unconsciously, that we first look at it, and then if we have somebody to talk to, we maybe talk through it with a friend. How would you act in that situation? And then we bring it together and
what would you do
start ideating,
So basically it's just like whenever we're in that emotional state, we would just ask the next person,
Exactly.
what would you do if you
Exactly.
were So this design thing is just facing that, make it more emotional whenever you are doing your business, bringing that emotional thing into the business.
Exactly. We call it empathize. We create empathy, and it's a very user-centric approach. So really the end user, should be the person that we design it for. We don't design it for ourselves. We design it for the person who will actually, hopefully, use it in the future.
Well, I hope a lot of those students really understood that. I'm also going to take notes of this.
Perfect.
So I'm going to use it in my business soon.
Wonderful. Perfect. Yeah.
It's really nice learning new things, and you go about this. So how do I use this? How was your experience? How did you get into design thinking?
Actually, I started as a junior coach, like many of them did in the past week. So at that time, I was employed for Lufthansa. I was working as a flight attendant, and I saw a sign-up link, and they said, oh, Impact Week is happening in Delhi and in a few other countries, and you can sign up here. And I had studied international business with a focus on innovation, management, and sustainability before. So I was really interested in knowing more about the concept. And actually, being a flight attendant, I thought, well, I'm not sure if I'm going to use design thinking in my daily life, but I would really, really love to know more about it. And I applied, and I was lucky enough to join the Impact Week in 2019 in Delhi. And I learned so much in that short period of time. I met new friends, and I was really happy to see some of them this year as well, and in the years before COVID. So in 2020, I was invited by a fellow junior coach to her wedding, and it was a beautiful experience, and I was really hooked after that. And COVID actually gave me a chance to be involved a little more, because Impact Week offered a virtual program for the countries affected by COVID. And I think the pandemic changed a lot for a lot of people, but we weren't able to travel and to be there in person. It just didn't make sense to gather so many people together. And then during the virtual program, I was able to coach one team in Kenya. So it was an Impact Week called Kenya versus COVID. And then during a Green Impact Week, so we innovated on sustainability, tried to find sustainable solutions for Germany, or if it was able to be implemented all over the world, obviously, that. And this is how I really started to get involved more with the core team, and I started to volunteer. And now we're our own entity since 2023. In March, we were founded officially, and we will be an NGO going forward. And I'm the managing director now, so yeah, this is my journey.
Come a long way.
Exactly.
So this Impact Week, does it happen like only like in one place, or does it happen in multiple places at the same time?
Not at the same time, so we don't have a workshop at the moment in another country. But this year we will have 8 Impact Weeks in 8 different countries. But we hope to come back after 1 year and train more people until we really feel like we've created a network that is sustainable enough that we can kind of,
So I hope we'll be seeing you next year.
Yes.
We'll be seeing another Impact Week in Meghalaya.
We already talked to the Prime Hub, and we would be very, very happy to partner with them again for next year. So I'm just waiting for a final confirmation. And it would be very exciting to come back here for sure.
So regarding this Impact Week that has happened, what are the best things that you've seen from this that came out that you didn't expect that to happen?
Oh, there are a lot of moments that are really, really special to me. I think, first of all, it was the biggest Impact Week ever. I have to say that for us it was a real push to go a little bigger. We had 60 junior coaches, which is the most we've ever trained, almost 200 students. So that was special. We had people with disabilities joining us. We actually had an awareness session last week to really kind of, help our junior coaches understand how they can create a safe learning environment for people with disabilities, but not just for them, for all the students, because we all have different learning types. This is one of the main takeaways, and that session was really, really eye-opening for a lot of people. And just seeing the students engage and seeing how they grew together as a team. They were total strangers on Monday, and they met for the first time. A lot of them were really, really shy. And some of the junior coaches came back to the hotel. They were like, my team doesn't speak. How do I bring them to speak? Like, do they not understand me, or are they just shy? And seeing them open up, and you've seen the pitches, like they were so outgoing, they were so proud of what they created.
It was really energetic.
Exactly, and seeing that shift, that is always one of the biggest gifts. And then, having an amazing team, that was really crucial for me.
So I talked to one of your fellow from the Impact Week, and she said the one thing that she realized here is that we're very respectful, and in a way that we don't speak out to people. So if we have anything to say, like if there's anything between us, I would rather stick it to myself and go about my own way.
Yeah.
So have you encountered that, or?
Definitely, yeah. For us as Germans, it's not easy sometimes because we are very direct at times. So we hope that we don't offend anyone when we do that. But it's not always easy taking these cultural differences into account and really working with the local team as well. But I don't feel like there were major differences. So for me, I think you have to take it into consideration, obviously. But I feel everybody is good the way they are. And if you know that some people maybe don't speak up, you can approach them and ask them, like, hey, is everything okay? Or did I offend you? You know, I mean, it takes a little bit more I guess, initiative from our side to actually figure out what's wrong. But I encourage everybody to speak up when something isn't going the way you expected, because only then you can expect a change, right? If we don't speak up about it, how is the other person supposed to know? And how is the other person supposed to act in a way that respects you? So therefore,
I guess that's one of our root problems, I guess. Whenever we see a problem, we're like, oh, this problem. But we just, okay, let's keep quiet. Yeah, it happens. It's just like that. I guess one of our biggest problems is that we don't come out. We just like, oh, this problem. Like sometimes when it comes, especially when it comes to waste management, when we see, oh, this place is very dirty, yeah, we won't do anything, we won't go, leave it, it's not our place or something like that. So I guess that's one of the main things that we have to change as a culture. We have to stand out, we have to move out from our comfort zone and we talk to people.
Yeah,
I guess
exactly.
that's one of the things. I mean, talking to you made me realize that, so.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, you have anything for the viewers? Oh, yeah, I had this question in mind. You've always been around entrepreneurs from different places. I guess you've meet a lot of them. What would be your advice for the entrepreneurs from Meghalaya?
That's a good question. My advice would be to really create a network of like-minded people, to create people who elevate you, who bring out the best in you, who support you in what you do. Ask questions, pitch your pitch, that is my advice. Really create an environment that supports you. That is the most important thing, I think. Network.
Thank you so
a good
much,
network.
and I hope the entrepreneurs will take it. So I guess we'll be ending it here today. So wish pun puro dapat the subscribe button on po, sa like, share. Thank you so much. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.